Hello and welcome to another patch note video for Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood with me, Meoni. Today we're looking at the additions in patch 4.05, so let's cut to the chase. This will be fairly surface level, but it's mostly for those in a hurry to get the gist of the additions without having to read through the pages of text, especially for those at work who can't just sit there and read this stuff. First addition then is housing items. They don't specify what here, however they do show us this lovely looking elephant statue, almost reminding me of the Ananta elephants you can see around their encampments in the game. If they're not going to be Beast Tribe mounts, then I'll eat my hat. And also some new seeds you can get for flower pots, obtainable in-game at the material suppliers in all the housing zones, including the apartment complexes. New music and orchestron rolls have been added to the game as per usual, as well as the content to go with that music. The Lost Canals of Uzania has finally been put into the game. This is the new version of the Aquapolis. If you're unsure what the Aquapolis is, then they're essentially rare dungeons that can spawn a portal, really, from completing the 8-person treasure map. Now added to Gazelle skin maps, the Lost Canals look like a great amount of fun, with a Namazu minion as a reward for completing the last floor, as well as the usual amount of high guild level items and tombstones for you to use. The battle system has seen huge class changes this time, with a great focus on bringing those of you who are underperforming slightly up to par, and balancing is generally the name of the tune this patch. In particular, these focus on potency changes, be it increases or nerfs, with Dragoon and Machinist seeing the most love out of the DPS. Reading every single class change would take hours. Unfortunately, that would defeat the point of the bite-sized video format, so let's be brief. The additional focus on healers is welcome, with significant potency buffs to scholars and a few potency nerfs to astrologian cards, which came as a surprise to many. White mages have been adjusted, and the amount of changes to lilies and confession stacks would deserve its own video in its own right, honestly, and that will probably be a thing. The biggest healer change, however, is the MP cost of Asuna has now been reduced. This could help significantly, hopefully encouraging people to have it, instead of seeing it as optional and forgetting about doom-inflicting bosses, etc. They added translation options for the new Astro and Scholar abilities if that's something you use often. I never use that translation feature if I can help it. It's horrible. And of course, the big addition is Omega Savage in this patch. The entry requirements may surprise you or not with their level requirements. For V1 we need 310 on average, V2 is 315 on average, and 320 average item level will be required for version 3 and version 4 bosses. Hopefully version 1 is slightly doable with a pug, as my current group has dissolved due to people taking time off for holidays and new jobs and whatever. If you're on Ragnarok and want a white mage astrologian, bard scholar and a paladin summoner, then let me know below, as myself, my girlfriend and a good friend of mine are looking for a link shell to raid this with. The entry for Savage Omega begins at the Magitech terminal in Ralga's Reach. Gear is very similar to Alexander. If the majority of your group is new to a clear that week, the bosses will spawn more treasure chests than if there are people on their second or above run through for that week. In addition to that rule, we will now get these Deltascape Delta logs, which can be exchanged for various gear in Ralga's Reach, each of these logs being different per boss, and they are on a weekly lockout per boss. Weapons are 8 logs from version 4, head, hands, waist and feet are 6 logs from version 2, legs are 8 from version 3, and body is 8 of these logs from version 4 boss. There are also the Lost Allegan, Roborant, Twine and Glaze. These will be used to upgrade gear eventually and are obtained from the various boss wings of Omega 2. After completing boss 4, which is X-Death on Savage, your group will have a Genji coffer spawn, as well as the usual loot. This will award any player a weapon if they win it and right-click on the item. So instead of relying on the dropped weapon being one you can use in your group due to RNG, this guarantees you a weapon for your raid group every week if they can kill X-Death on Savage, obviously per week. The Pool of Tribute and Pool of Tribute Extreme has seen a huge bug fix, where originally players could avoid the knockback of Yeta no Kagami by using abilities that nullified damage, something I wish I knew about. This is no longer the case, and you will always get knocked back now regardless of taking damage or not. Allegan Tombstones of Creation will be fixed to 450 per week and 2,000 of them maximum in total at any time on your character. Any of the dungeons post main story at level 70 will award these, as well as the various roulettes. Leveling Roulette will give 100 Verity and 5 Creation, Expert Roulette gives 60 Verity and 40 Creation, Trial gives 60 Verity and 10 Creation, Frontline gives you 50 Verity and 20 Creation, and if you can manage to unlock it, Mental Roulette has 30 Verity and 10 Creation. They've also additionally removed the language lock on Duty Roulette leveling, an option that usually asked you in the cog menu who you wanted to group with, which language base. This has been made void to increase the speed of dungeon pops from this particular roulette. Whether this will change anything remains to be seen. They added text on the leveling roulette to say that you get the crack cluster for being an adventurer in need now. This was something they patched in on Friday. We did a video on this a week ago now, and it finally got put in as printed text, possibly meaning it's here to stay, and is much easier to see than having to go to a website to answer why somebody got one, as many people asked me. PvP has seen hundreds of balance changes, impossible to cover in this video, but they are all potency changes and nerfs to those that were dominating over others. It remains to be seen how balanced they can make PvP without taking the fun completely away from each ability. Perhaps another video in the making there. New items from the gear design contest have been added. They feature the tank design here, which is absolutely lovely. I'm not sure if this is the Deltascape Savage stuff or what, but I like it a lot. The models are beautiful. A lot of the entries were fantastic, and the winners were particularly well thought out, so grats to them for seeing their ideas realised in game, which honestly must be the ultimate honour, mustn't it really? Here's a big one. Tank accessories to 90 eye level and above got strength added to them. This was a reply to the outrage by tanks that this stat wasn't on the new gear, and tanks were using 270 stuff in the new dungeons and raids to make up for the lack of it on new gear. But now this is not the case, and they can all go and grab proper gear with real stats on it, which will be nice to heal. I'm sure a lot of the tanking community will welcome this, although casual play doesn't really dictate its requirement. People are quick to rally behind those who do, however, and so it got changed for the better for everyone finally. New mounts have been added to the game. They say mounts as plural, but not which ones particularly. They show the first boss of Deltascape being ridden here, presumably a low % drop from Savage V1, but that remains to be confirmed at this time. It looks awesome anyway. Oh, I love this snake. Hopefully I get to see someone on this in the future for a video. Who knows, maybe I'll even get a group and do it myself. Wink wink. New minions have been added, including this tiny Namazu minion. This is awarded from the final floor of the Canals of Uzunir, like I said earlier, and looks absolutely awesome. Really can't wait to get my hands on this one for a video, and I'll be hopping into the canals as soon as this video is over, probably. A ton of the new achievements were added and a lot of bug fixes, but that is generally the patch notes in a nutshell. If you enjoyed this brief read of the notes, leave me a like so I know this is a good direction for the format to progress. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.